Alright, so just the other day I started pairing up my ball pythons, putting the males in with the females for the start of the next ball python breeding season. It's a pretty exciting time because you get to figure out what males and females you want to pair up, and hopefully most of those will lay eggs, and I kind of know the results of a lot of these pairings. And the interesting thing is when it comes to ball pythons and breeding, size doesn't really matter. It's pretty amazing. I actually have a male that is about 500 grams, and I paired it up just yesterday with the female that is 5,000 grams. So the female is 10 times as big as the male. It looks pretty funny when you're putting them together, but believe it or not, I've done it before and it actually works. That female is bred with a really small scaleless head male, and it's funny because actually when I paired it up the first time, my scaleless head male was even smaller. It was about 400 grams, and about halfway through the breeding season it finally hit 500. This one I'd say is probably over 500. I haven't weighed him, but let's say he's probably 1/10 of the female. It's pretty incredible. So I want to show you those two snakes and kind of how funny they look, and maybe we'll catch them in a copulation. Maybe we'll look at some of my other snakes and see if we can catch them mating. And essentially when a snake mates, they twist their tails in a lock, and sometimes they can stay locked for days, and sometimes it's only a few hours. Sometimes you can't catch them, and a lot of times you'll pair up your snakes and they'll mate when you're not looking, and you'll never realize that they're mating. A lot of people are looking for copulations. I don't really look for the copulation. I pretty much leave it up to the snakes, and if I get eggs, I get eggs, and if they don't mate, then I'll just kind of wait till the next year. I don't really try to push them. I know a lot of people have some tricks on trying to get ball pythons to breed, like adding a shed from another male, or maybe putting two males together and getting them sparring a little bit right before you put the male in with the female. Sometimes that's a good trick to maybe make the male a little jealous so he actually will breed with the female, which is kind of an interesting trick. And before we jump over to take a look at some snakes, I want to give you a few updates on my YouTube channel here. I'm actually starting a merchandise store. I'm going to put a link down in the description below. I'm working with Teespring for some t-shirts and some mugs and socks and leggings and phone cases and a bunch of stuff like that. And I'm not really branding them as far as my brand. I'm kind of gearing the merch towards kind of a more broad, general audience with some little cute sayings and some cute little graphics on some of this merchandise. It's not really going to be all like, I know a lot of people are like putting their brand name all over everything, like Chris Hardwick Reptiles, and I'm kind of going to try to stay away from putting my brand name on a lot of stuff and gearing my merch towards something you probably see on Amazon, something like that. So that's pretty exciting. I've never really done merchandise before, and as a matter of fact, you need 10,000 subscribers to hit the qualification in order to do merchandise linked to your YouTube channel. And right now I built some merchandise. I'll put the link in the description below, but it's not linked up actually today. Well, this video will post tomorrow, so it might be linked up tomorrow, but as of today it's not linked up to my YouTube videos. So once it finally gets linked up, you'll actually see under every single video the t-shirts and the mugs and all that stuff under each individual video. And the other thing is my Patreon's doing very good. If you want to support me on Patreon, I put a link, pretty much just a little blurb with everyone's name that supports me on Patreon at the end of every single video. That's been working really well. I appreciate everybody's support. That is pretty awesome. So let's jump over and check out some snakes. Alright, this year I'm actually pairing up 18 females, and yesterday I paired up 9 of my males, pretty much half of them. I'm going to pair them up for 3 days and then switch over. And normally I don't like to pull these tubs out, and I really don't want to interrupt the process of copulation. So when you're actually going in to look at these snakes, what you want to do is you want to pull it out really slow. You definitely don't want to interrupt them at all if they're locked together. And I haven't looked at any of these, so I'm not sure if these guys are locked up or not. And let's see here. And yes, they, yes. Well, their tails are close together, but it doesn't look like they're locked. It looks like they might have been locked because they're really close together. So they both look pretty much normals. The big one is my female, 100% het caramel albino. The smaller one is a male scaleless head, 50% het caramel albino. I'm actually shooting for the scaleless head visual caramel albino on this pair. Looks like they might have been locked up. You can kind of see their tails kind of close together, but not really in a lock over here. Definitely not locked together. Pretty close. I would say they probably were locked yesterday, and they probably just came apart just recently. Alright, so I'm going to take a look at this one. This is actually my Lemon Blast female crossed with my Coral Glow 100% het pied. Shooting for some more Coral Glow pinstripes, which is a really awesome combo. Let's take a look if these guys are in a lock. These guys are definitely in a lock right there. You can see how their tails are twisted together. Right there. I don't really want to disturb them too much, but we'll try to get in here. That is pretty much what it looks like when ball pythons breed. You get like a tail twist. They get locked together like that. And that is pretty much what you can expect. So these are well on their way. You know, the Coral Glow has bred quite a few snakes, so I wouldn't imagine he'd have any problem breeding with this girl. Alright, so I have another snake that's a little bit higher. This is actually my male bamboo lesser. It's a blue-eyed leucistic. The very first year this one's breeding, and it's a pretty small one. I'm actually breeding it with just a normal. So half the babies will be bamboo, half will be lesser if they actually breed. And let's take a look at this. If these guys are locked together, it'd be interesting to see how these guys are doing. Tails are not locked together. So you can definitely see they're completely apart, and usually I don't even mess with them. I just kind of let them go. This guy probably doesn't have a clue what's going on. It's his very first day breeding ever in his whole life, so I'm just going to let him go and see if he'll actually breed this girl. I might peek in there tomorrow just to see if he's doing his job. I was actually going to pair him up with 3 females. Hopefully he'll actually breed those 3. Alright, so I'm going to have to pull my step stool out on this one. We're getting pretty high up here. This is my male Calico Bamboo crossed with a pastel female. Hopefully these guys are like my Calico Bamboo was definitely a lot bigger. And let's take a look here. No. These guys are not together either. And this guy, it's actually his first year breeding too, and this should be an interesting... It's funny how this pastel is really kind of faded out as its age. Usually pastels are pretty bright yellow when they're younger, and they fade out as they get older. Hopefully this guy will actually breed. This is the first year pairing this guy up too. The guy, the snake on my left, it is a Calico Bamboo. So I'm going to check on my pied female over here. This one's been really picky. I've had it for quite a while, and it hasn't really been up to size to breed. I tried to breed it last year, actually the year before last, and it didn't go, and then I had last year off. And let's see, this one, so this one actually looks like it's locked all the way in the back, and you definitely don't want to disturb the snakes very much, and I don't really want to get in there too far. You can definitely tell the tails are twisted together on this one, but they're underneath the snakes, so you don't really want to interrupt them. The tails are parallel, so I would say that is pretty much a positive lock. I'd say that's a good lock, even though you can't see the lock. But I'm just going to close these guys up and just let them go. And this is a pretty awesome pairing. I'll actually get 50% fire pieds, 50% pieds, all visual pieds, if I can actually get this pair to go. So this pair of snakes up here, this is probably my most impressive, most stunning pair of snakes. This is my Pastel Desert Ghost male with my Pastel Spider Desert Ghost female. Yeah, my female was fastened for a long time and finally came back up for you. You can definitely tell their tails are together. Take a look at that. You can barely see it. I definitely don't want to disturb them too much. This is going to be a really awesome pair. I like to move really slow on these snakes, and see, it's almost moving to the point where they're thinking about maybe separating. Not really good to do it. I don't really like to check on them that much, but I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like. I don't normally do this on a regular basis, actually opening the tubs and looking at the snakes. But that is definitely a nice tail lock right there. So here's another pair that I'm really excited about. This is my brand new male I just got it from Morph Market. It's from last year. I'm using a lot of brand new males this year that have never really been proven out. This is my male banana inchy clown with my clown female, and I'm guessing these guys will be locked up. Clowns are usually really aggressive breeders and eaters. Let's take a look here. Well, it looks like their tails are actually separated, but they're really close. So take a look at this pair. This is so stunning. Though that is an awesome pair of snakes. This is probably my most exciting pair. I sure hope that I have another lesser, actually have a lesser clown. This is just a straight clown. But the lesser clown, that's going to be amazing. Between that clown and this clown female, if I get some clown hatchlings, I'm definitely going to hold a lot of those back and get more into the clown project. But this is a really awesome combo. I'm really excited about this one. So here's another really awesome pair of snakes. This is my albino pied male, which is a double recessive, crossed with a bumblebee, which is a pastel spider. The bumblebee is also possible yellow belly, possible het pied. I really wanted to try to prove out the het pied. Not sure about the yellow belly because the snake is so yellow and it's all kind of reduced and pixelated and everything. You can't really tell if the yellow belly's in there. These are some really beautiful snakes, and it doesn't look like the tails are actually locked together. Looks like they're close, both down here in the corner. Maybe they were locked last night, but it looks like they are not locked right now. Alright, so here's my last and 9th pair of snakes that I paired up pretty much this last week. These guys have been paired up for a little bit longer than the rest. These are my reticulated pythons. They are both 50% Jampea dwarf, and the one in the back over here, this is a purple albino, and Sonny, he is part super dwarf, and I'd say their tails are definitely not locked. He's kind of balled up over here in the corner, and you can see Lucy's tail over here is definitely on the side. I've been watching them pretty much on and off for the last few days, and I haven't seen any locks. As a matter of fact, I paired them up for the last 2 years. They didn't lay eggs, and I didn't see any locks. I'm starting to wonder if these guys really need to mature a few years before they'll actually breed, but they are pretty awesome snakes. Alright, so it is time for the question of the day, and Brian Martin asks, what happens when you breed a super pastel to a super pastel? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, if you breed 2 supers together, you'll end up with a whole clutch of supers. Every single baby will be a super pastel, which is pretty awesome. And keep in mind, a lot of people, I've actually seen a lot of people do that with allelic combinations. You really have to be careful with allelics, such as anything in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So for example, if you had an all-white snake, you can make one in several ways. You can have a bamboo lesser, or a bamboo Mojave, or a Mojave lesser, or a super bamboo, super Mojave, super lesser. You have all those in the blue-eyed leucistic. Some of them are supers, some of them are allelic. And I've seen a lot of people, for instance, if you bred like a bamboo lesser to a lesser Mojave, you'd end up with a whole clutch of white snakes. It acts like a super, but the problem is you wouldn't know what the hatchlings were actually composed of genetically. So some of them could be supers, some of them could be with 2 different genes in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. As a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people walking around at the reptile shows, they're like, hey, I just bought this blue-eyed leucistic, check it out. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. What are the genes in there? And a lot of times they can't tell you. And as a matter of fact, if you went back to the breeder, a lot of times the breeders can't even tell you because they're breeding 2 allelic combos together in the blue-eyed leucistic complex, and you don't know exactly the genetics of the offspring. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.